Okay. So we're going to start now, but first of all, I will introduce our facilitator for today. He is an actor, a director, a theater teacher, and he conducted several community-based theater workshops and performances, and has been part of different theater productions in the Philippines. And as a director, he often set his work on found spaces, incorporates found objects, and explores the immediacy and urgency of performance. He likes to find ways on how to engage the audience, to work not just as spectators, but also as active collaborators. And currently, he is teaching theater classes at Bulacan State University, Malolos. So without further ado, let's all welcome Mr. Chris Dagsil.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. Hopefully naririnig naman ako ng maayos. So, thank you Alex for introducing me to our participants today. So, bago tayo formal na magsimula sa palihan ngayong araw na ito, nais ko muna magpasalamat sa Erehwon Center for the Arts sa pag-imbita sa akin upang pasinayaan ang talk na ito. Maraming salamat sa pag-imbita. Maaari ba akong mag-share ng screen ko para sa aking slide?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, I prepared a short slide para sa aking magiging talk ngayong araw na ito. So, before we proceed, although napakilala naman ako ni Miss Alex, I would like to, magpakilala. My name is Chris Dagsil, actor, director, minsan manunulat, but I am a full-time theater teacher. So, paano ba natin pag-uusapan ang directing? No? Marahil, marami sa atin or bawat isa sa atin ngayon ay naging bahagi na ng isang produksyon na pang-teatro or pang-pelikula. Kung hindi man, marahil ay nagbabalak o kaya naman ay gustong sumubok na bumuo ng isang palabas. Kung ano man ang dahilan, sigurado akong lahat tayo ay mayroong ideya. An idea that we would like to nurture or materialize. No, if not, at least we have this creative urge na tinatawag, no, that we intended to release. So, we have this now. Now what? Of course, we begin. But how do we begin? Yun ang mahirap, diba? Paano tayo magsisimula? Is gusto nating mag-direct, gusto nating bumuo. And as a director, hindi lang tayo nagbasta-basta nagsisimula. We also lead, correct? Personally, I know I wanted to be a director because I always create certain world inside my head and I want other people to see it. No, I just find ways to pull out of my imagination and present it to whoever wants to see it. Also, I just want to take control. That's all. Gusto ko talaga mag-control ng mga bagay-bagay. But I learned through my experiences and my education, the university, I learned that being a director is a very complicated job. And it wasn't just about control. But yes, there are lots of taking charges and responsibilities, but it's more of a collaboration. And it's a continuous problem-solving expedition na nakakabaliw at nakakapagod, but very fulfilling. No? Yes, nakaka-drain siya ng energy, nakaka-drain siya ng oras natin, but it's the challenge that we take, no, as we embark ourselves on the journey of creation. Doon tayo nabubuhay. Yun yung gusto natin. Yun yung dahilan kung bakit natin minamahal at ginagawa itong craft natin. No? So, there are lots of ways on how to handle a production, how to direct, no? And how to translate your ideas into screen or to stage. There are lots of directors in the world that has their own methods. So, instead of telling you of what's do's and don'ts, kung ano ba ang ginagawa ng director, ano ang director, by the book, I thought I'd share my own experiences and my own creative process and hopefully give you an insight on what possibly a directors or what directors do, no? So, I have prepared 4 major talking points today sa ating webinar. The director, it's overall duties and responsibilities, general, and then the director in its relation to the text, the director its relation to the space, and if we still have time, we'll talk about the director its relationship to the actors. No? So, we want to direct. Na pag-decide na natin sa sarili natin na you wanna take charge to this certain material, I wanna lead a certain group of people and create this masterpiece. Now, ano ba ang dapat kong gawin? Ano ba yung mga responsibilidad na dapat ay alam ko o at least ginagawa ko? So let's talk about some general idea of duties and responsibilities of a director. Sinasabi natin na, you're a director. You're basically the captain of the ship, no? Because yes, being a director is a hard job because everyone somehow thinks that they're all depending on you and your decision. Diba? Sabi nga, you're the captain of the ship. Wherever you go, we follow. And that's true because you take the wheel, navigate, and then take your whole crew to a single direction, ideally. That's the whole point. Everyone arrives on a single island. So hopefully, you don't wreck it along the process, diba? Or else, you wouldn't be able to have a coherent production, no, na inaasahan mo. Ito yung mga, may aspeto ng produksyon na napag-iiwanan. Na halimbawa, tandaan, kahit na mahusay ang mga aktor mo, mahusay ang kanilang pagkaka-deliver, kung certain parts of the production na hindi mo na control, halimbawa, hindi naman naiilawan, hindi nabibigyan na emphasis yung galing at talento ng aktor mo, malungkot siya, di ba? Kasi ayaw natin ng ganoon. Hindi siya nagiging coherent, hindi balance yung effort na naibibigay ng buong team mo. And as a director, it's your responsibility na walang maiwan. All the aspects, even the costumes, the sounds, and all. Tandaan mo, you're dealing with different kinds of artists, your collaborators. So, take what they have, gamitin mo mga talento nila, and just make sure na nag-guide mo sila. No? Going to the, yun nga yung metaphor, going to the same island as the captain of the ship. No? Remember, you have your whole team on your back, and your actors, your playwrights, designers, the production team, etc. They all have their own duties inside the production. But they also rely on your decision and your choices on how you would like things to happen. Diba? Sila yung magtatanong sige, ano bang gusto mong makita? Ano bang gusto mong mangyari sa production na to? That's why, during the pre-production stage, it's very important that you communicate your ideas with your designers and the whole team and hope that everyone shared the same vision. Kasi kapag nagawa mo yon, ma-avoid natin lahat ng mga posibleng maging problema kapag simula na yung actual rehearsal or the whole production itself. No? So, make sure that you can articulate, you can express your ideas effectively to your designer. Alam mo na nagkakasundo kayo. Alam mo na nauunawaan nila kung saan mo gustong patakbuhin ang palabas. Kung nakikita mo ba na ganitong klaseng mundo ang nakikita mo nung binabasa mo yung text, allow them to understand it. No? Next. So, you decided that you wanna be a director na nga. Ito na nga, naging director ka, nagli-lead na isang produksyon. Asahan mo na marami kang sasaguting mga tanong. Lahat ng mga tao nakadepende sa'yo. Therefore, every questions that may arise sa'yo ang tanggulan. No? Paano mo ito gagawin? Saan mo ito gagawin? Anong gusto mong mangyari? And all, and all, and all. Marami yan. It's a whole continuous process sa pagsasagot ng mga tanong at paghahanap ng kasagutan. And ikaw mismo, sa sarili mo, punong-puno ka ng mga questions kung paano mo itatranslate or kung paano mo itatranslate itong from page to stage. Kung paano mo gustong makita itong palabas na ito into an actual action. Lahat yan kine-question mo, bukod pa sa mga question ng maraming tao ng mga aspeto ng produksyon. Now, I'll tell you something. Based on my experience, you do not always know the answer immediately. And that's a fact. Because sometimes, akala natin na we should always know na kagad kung ano yung mangyayari at sagot sa mga bagay-bagay. But in reality, nasa proseso siya na sasagot. No? It's a kung ba, directing a production is a simultaneous asking and answering a never-ending question. Blah, 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 blah. Sometimes, pupunta ka na rehearsal, mag-hope ka na masasagot yung tanong mo, and then boom, a workshop, a scene work, or an improv made by a certain actor can actually make a long way. No? That's why it's important that you do rehearsal. It's important that you do scene work, workshops. Kung hindi mo alam kung paano mo itutuhugin ang isang eksena patungo sa isang eksena, try to devise something, no? Try to hope na may maibibigay yung mga artista mo about this certain scenario, no? Halimbawa, when I directed Umaaraw Umuulan with my students, kini-question ko, ang hirap naman ito, paano ko gagawin yung transition from bahay into gubat, into mapapasok siya sa gitna, sa loob ng balete tree. And all of the sudden, nasa loob na siya ng other world, mythical world. No? So from sa bahay, no, mapupunta siya, tatakbo siya, hinahabol niya yung aso papuntang gubat, and then papasok yung aso sa isang balete. And then boom, nandun na kayo. So sabi ko, paano ko to i-translate into action? Paano ko siya gagawin on stage? Diba? So, dumaan sa mahabang proseso ng pag-devise, pakikinig ng music, hopefully pagtatry ng mga scenes with the actors, workshops, no? And then finally we arrive to movements that will actually it's actually logical, at the same time clear, na i-translate or nag-transition yung mga bagay-bagay, no? So you have to deal with that. You have to deal with the music. Use every resources that you could have. The music, the lights, the set, the props, even the actors, no? So you collaborate with your designers. You collaborate with your light designers. O paano kaya natin gagawin na maging ganito? And then for sure, may maibibigay sila na idea to help the situation. If you have a choreographer or a movement director, you have to capitalize with what they can give, with what they can offer. No? So, that's my next point. As a director, you should be able to recognize the strength of your team and capitalize on what they can offer. Sometimes, the solution to your problem is there all along. And you just have to recognize it. No? Minsan, mga problema mo kung paano i-reveal ay nandun naman pala on stage. If you have an eksena na you have a surprise reveal for a certain props or for a certain character at hindi mo alam kung paano siya mangyayari, just look around you or communicate with your set designers. And for sure, makikita mo at marirecognize ninyo kung paano mo susolusyonan yung problema na yon. No? For example, I had this production na paano ko patatakasin itong karakter na ito inside this found space na wala ka na in the round, na wala kang mapagtataguan. So, that was one of my major problem nung ginagawa ko yung production na yon. And then, I looked up and then I realized na, alam mo, okay itong ceiling na to, yung butas sa may ceiling na to. Kasi it was a found space. Technically, nasa loob lang kami ng isang building. No? So nakita ko yung butas sa ceiling na yon and then na-realize na akyatable ba to? Kumbaga ba, kaya ba tayo nitong iakyat? And then I saw that there's a wooden ladder standing by, no, somewhere. Kinuha ko, and then sabi ko, pwede siyang gamitin. And then, nasolve na yung problema ko. No? Nasolve na namin kung paano namin susubukang patakasin yung aktor in a very artistic way, no, in a very creative way. And that actually became one of my major points na nung palabas, no? So, I guess as a director, kailangan lang marunong tayong mag-recognize ng mga bagay-bagay. Alam natin, sensitive tayo, at the same time, alam natin kung kailan natin ng tulong, no? So, yeah. Next, in terms of technicalities, trust your designers, your actors. Remember that they are on your team for a reason. You might have worked with them before on your previous project, and you probably already know kung paano sila mag-deliver, no? So, recognize that. At the same time, it's very important. Understand that they're also artists on their own, no? And that they have their own process, no? So, allow them to do that. But the goal as a director is to effectively curate and lead them to a specific path, no? Give them ideas, articulate their desires, and hope that they're on the same boat, no? After all, or at the end of the production, it's your job naman as a director to fine-tune the performance and take what's only best for your show, no? Remember, the goal is to make a unified piece of artwork that was collaborated by different artists. Next, ito. As a director, taking control doesn't mean micromanaging your team. No, it means making sure every aspect of the production is working towards one vision or direction. Kaya ka nga merong AD, kaya ka nga merong SMs, meron kang designers. Kasi meron silang mga specific jobs. Allow them to do it. You don't have to micromanage them every single time, especially actors. Actors doesn't want to be micromanaged. They are your collaborators, not your puppets. No, actors are artists and have their own choices. It's their job to understand the script, to understand the characters, and deliver a performance. No? Nandun ka to guide them. No, I'll talk more about that later when we talk about the relationship of the director and the actor. So, now that you have the general overview of kung anong ginagawa ng director, of course, aside from all the other duties such as pag-attend the rehearsal, blocking, composition, and all other bukod sa sometimes you conduct dramaturgical researches as well. If you have dramaturg at the same time, you research, of course. Now, let's proceed on my on how personally how I approach when I want to do something, no? When na-inlove ako sa isang material at gusto ko siyang gawin, no? Technically, the relationship of the director to the texts, no? I always begin my process by establishing a strong connection between the material that I would like to do and myself. In short, sinisigurado kong naiintindihan ko yung gagawin ko at gusto ko talaga siyang gawin. So how do I do that? As a director, it's a prerogative, no, that you read and must have a concrete understanding of your text, of the text rather. Basahin mo ng paulit-ulit and make sure naiintindihan mo at alam mo kung saang anggulo mo nakikita at nais padaluyin ang palabas. Di ba madalas, we are inspired because of what we see or we are probably inspired because of what we read. Ngayon, nakikita mo siya, nung binasa mo, buhay na buhay siya sa utak mo, you have this parang projection, no? Na habang binabasa mo yung words, very sensitive yung utak mo, nakikita mo na kagad sila into action, no? Mahalaga yan. But at the same time, unawain mo nang maunawain yung script, yung materyales, yung text na gagamitin mo, and make sure na you're in line with the you're in line with the playwright's vision, no? Yes, a text is always open for different interpretation, but as a director, you do not simply interpret, you decode, no? If you decode your text, meaning you decipher the meaning of the material that you're using, no? If you break it down, you'll understand the relationship of the actions to the space, the intention of the characters, what propels the action, and so on and so forth. Now, it gives you a leeway to translate the text to action and images, no, using signs and symbols, no. When you create meaning, make it accessible, no. Halimbawa, make sure na kapag tinranslate mo siya into action onto stage, whether through design or visual elements of your production, make sure na naintindihan namin siya. Make sure that all the elements that you put in your mise-en-scène has its significance. No? The light, the sound, the costume, even the action and the blocking. When they're put together, they create a system of signs that the audience could actually recognize. No? Remember, a bilog or a circular hole in your set is not just a simple circular hole. It could be a moon, it could be a sun when daylight, it could be a window, it could be a escape route for your character. No? So, I remember when I did math, for example, a chair, ako personally, I don't see a chair as a simple chair. No? A chair sometimes, sa math, a chair becomes became a symbol of power, but at the same time, became a symbol of danger. When they drag it, when they shake it, it creates noise, no? Tension. And most importantly, it was actually associated with the playful gods dun sa mundo ng karakter sa palabas. These are the way that, or ito yung mga bagay na kailangan mo isaalang-alang as a director. Remember that you are directing and not just simply translating the text or interpreting what was already written. You're communicating through metaphorical expressions and turning your ideas into an actual performances. No? Yeah, itong picture na to, yan from Mal. Written by Vlad Gonzalez. It's an adaptation of Trojan Women in Euripides. Next, as a director, your job is to help us see what you want us to see. No? Sabi ko nga kanina, you have this vision. Now, find a way na makita namin kung saang lente mo ba tinitignan yan. Remember, you have the capacity to alter and choose what you put on your stage, no, or on your screen. What points to emphasize, what to highlight. That includes the use of music, the lighting, the overall blocking, etc. You basically control the world. No, you have the power to choose which perspective that we're going to follow. No. Next, build the world of your play. Ito, napakahalaga nito sa akin bilang director. It's important that you visualize and define the world of your play, the specific aspects of it, the color, the kind of world that they lived in, the locale, the atmosphere, the elements. No, may tubig ba sa palabas na yon? May tubig ba sa bundong yan? Mainit ba? Umuulan ba? O kaya naman ang mga tao ba dito ay morally ano ba mabuti ba silang sama, or are they simply just black and white, or kung ano man and all, no? Their movement, their actions, everything, not just visual, but the overall tone and rhythm as well. Diba, kung magaba sa actors, we have this given circumstances that you have to fill in order to have a clear set of understanding sa kinilalagyan ng karakter mo. Sa direction, ganun rin. No? You have a say about everything eh. No? How they move, how they interact with one another, how you want your characters to talk, or how you want them to sound. Even the sound, the music that people will hear, the kind of light na tumatama, pumapasok sa mundong yon, allowed ba sila to have a bright sunlight, or you see it as always dark, isolated, brooding space, o kaya naman na laging para bang mainit, malamig, everything na that would affect the senses. Nakikita mo dapat yon sa mundong yon. Kaya mahalaga sa akin as an actor, meron akong tinatawag na visual diary. No? So visual diary ko as as a director, mahilig ako mangolekta ng mga pegs, ng mga images, ng mga cutouts from magazines, cutouts from internet, Instagram, any images na gusto ko, or screenshots from the plays, screenshots from the films, even simple color palettes and all, even simple paintings. Yan, mahilig ako doon sa mga paintings. Something that will translate my ideas sa visually. Kinokolekta ko yon, tapos kinocurate ko siya, tinitignan ko yung mga bagay na gusto kong makita. No? Gusto kong ma-inspire from that images. Tinitignan ko siya, tapos pinapakita ko rin sa mga collaborators ko. No? Just to set the overall tone of the production of the world na gusto kong makita. Minsan, nakakatulong siya. And then, along the process, nakikita ko yung mga bagay na nag-work, mga bagay na hindi na siya maaaring i-involve or ipasok sa mundo na binubuo ko ngayon. No? Yung mga paintings na yan ay mahalaga kasi nakakatulong rin siya for you, hindi lamang the overall tone, at the same time, through compositions and perspective. No? Especially when you block your actors on screen, on stage or on screen, no, to be able to have an idea, no, kung paano siya makikita, no, kasi i-materialize mo siya, hindi pa siya tangible, nasa idea mo pa lang siya. So it's important na meron ka ng mga ganung bagay. Do whatever that you have to do para maging malinaw ang iyong idea, no. So ano pa, even the silences, the rhythm of the play, no? You command it, you control it. Where do you want to put silences? Where do you want to create chaos? These two aspects are very important, no, in a play, because you can actually manipulate the scene with this. No, if you want to highlight something, no, you can play along with between silences and chaos. No, it all depends on you and your choice. It's how you want the world. Oh, it's how you want to see the world. No? Like mga sinasabi na being an artist, especially as a director, is the closest thing to being a god. No? So you have the command. For example, when I did, halimbawa, in relation to the production na ginawa ko, again, yung umaaraw, umuulan, kinakasan ng tikbalang, everything about it was covered with papers. The set was very fragile, flimsy materials, no papel. Because I would like to emphasize, or at least I would like to highlight, that the actor or the character of Jeffoy in relation to the other mythical creatures, no, yung mga diwende, yung mga kapre, yung mga diwata and all, the point of the play itself, no, that everything na gawin ng tao, ni Jeffoy as a tao, can affect his surroundings. Kung hindi siya maingat, masisira ang mga bagay-bagay sa paligid niya. No? So, hindi mo yun babanggitin directly on the play as a director. You'll find ways to translate that concept into an actual image, no? Kaya nga, di ba sasabi natin, it becomes systems of signs. The stage itself becomes structure, no? So, mahalaga yon for a director. Next, when you read the text, di ba, sabi ko nga, intindihin mo, make sure that when you read it, you already imagine in your head kung paano mo siya itatranslate into your medium. Sometimes, kapag director ka, halimbawa, stage director ka, pag binabasa ko yung text or pag binabasa mo yung text, nakikita mo na kagad kung paano mo siya gagawin sa entablado. No? Hindi buo, pero at the same time, there are specific aspects na gusto mo nang mangyari. No? If you're gonna use film, syempre iba rin yung mga tao. Mas maraming perspective ang pwedeng paglaruan. No? Sa film. You can actually become an omniscient, di ba? Sa pelikula, depende nga yan. As an actor, iba rin naman, a way kung paano nila tinitignan ang mga bagay-bagay pag binasa nila ang script, no? As an actor, pag binasa mo ang script, sinisindan mo ang karakter mo. Tinitignan mo kung paano sila gumagalaw or kung paano mo susundan yung takbo ng palabas, no? So, mahalaga yun as a director kung saan yung standpoint mo kapag binabasa mo yung texts, no? And last, of course, as a director, in relation to your text, you have to understand the principles of plot, no? The physical action, the psychological action, the progression, and the overall structure, no? You just have to have a concrete knowledge about this, no? When we say structure, ito yung basically yung rising plot, rising climax and all, no? Kailangan alam mo yon at nauunawaan mo kung paano tumatakbo ang palabas mo para you can actually command or maikukumpas mo kung paano yung magiging ritmo ng palabas mo. No? So, yeah. Now, ito, this is an example of umaaraw, umuulan pala. No, nasasabi ko, the paper, and we used shadow puppet as well as a form of transition. Just sa sinasabi ko kanina, how are we gonna use, or how are we gonna transition from a bahay into gubat, into loob ng balete? So, I realized na, okay, let's use a shadow puppet, no? And some movements for Jeffoy's character. Now, let's talk about the director and the space, no? Know the basics. Mahalaga yan as a director. When you know the, meaning to say, alam mo yung geography and orientational stage, no? Alam mo kung saan yung upstage, downstage, stage right, stage left, center, and all. Kasi, yun naman talaga yung pangunahin na dapat na alam mo dahil yun ang gagamitin mong language when you talk to your actors or when you talk to everyone na tutungtong sa entablado, no? It's an important ito yung mga vocabulary na dapat mong saulado when you command, when you direct your actors. At the same time, yung stage orientations as well. Remember, there are different types of stage orientations. We have the conventional proscenium type. We have the in the round, thrust, we have traversed, diba? Each stage orientations requires different kinds of actions as well. Different kinds of blocking for your actors. For example, hindi mo naman magagawa. Iba ang magiging blocking ng mga artista mo kung ang ginagamit mo entablado ay yung proscenium type. An example of a proscenium type yung nakikita ninyo, yung yung Fredo Maria Guerrero, no? Sa Dulaang UP, o kaya naman sa CCP ni Canor. Yung Little Theater, those are an example of proscenium type, no? So, iba magiging blocking mo sa ganoong klase ng orientation na entablado kumpara sa in the round, kung saan you have to let your actors favor on all different sides. Kasi may mga audience tayo on all different sides, no? So, umiikot yung mga katawan ng mga yan, no? So, as a director, kailangan nauunawaan mo rin yon kung paano mo siya gagamitin. Even sa design aspects, mahalaga yan because when you use an in the round, for example, you cannot put a huge set background, no, sa entablado mo. Most of the time, you'll be dealing with the floor design, furniture, o kaya naman sa mga entrances, exits nila, no? Compared sa proscenium type kung saan you can actually put a background, no? Now, isaalang-alang mo rin. For example, your text requires a certain feel. Your text requires a certain action kung saan magtatago yung actor or whatever na hindi dapat makita ng audience. Of course, mahirap siyang i-achieve sa in the round because wala kang makataguan. Everyone is, kumbaga, open. But, so baka kailangan mo isaalang-alang kung anong klase ng stage orientation ang gagamitin mo when you decide to do your play. No? But of course, these are just conventions. Malawak naman, and we're all free to explore different ideas. We're all free to explore different ways to find solutions to our problems. No? Next, yeah, at the same time, halimbawa, the relationship also of the audience to the space matters. No? Minsan, very intimate ang nakukuha nating relationship with the audience when we use the arena or in the round. No? We're closer to the audience. No? Compared to the proscenium type na medyo you create a fourth wall, no? A barrier between the performances and the audience. Now, as a director, ano bang kailangan mo? Ano bang gusto mong i-achieve? Ano ba yung gusto mo ba makabuild na relationship with the audience? Gusto mo ba na i-involve sila in your performance? Probably you need to find ways, no? Kung paano mo ngayon gagamitin yung espasyo na yon, no? Para makarelate ito sa audience mo. Because space is also a medium. No, it's a very complicated concept. Somehow, it's both the presence and the absence of it. A space is also a medium we use to frame an idea. And it is a major part of your storytelling. No, kung paano mo dinidivide, kung paano mo dinidefine, o kaya kung paano mo dinidistribute ang espasyo ay mahalaga. No? The spatial relationship of your character is important to take note as well. Kasi may mga characters na nagmo-move sila, nagre-react sila differently on the given spaces. No? So, if they need to feel isolated, let them be. No? If the world is free, no? O kaya naman, the world na ginagawa mo ay something very light and abundant of spaces. So, mahalaga yon kung paano mo siya ita-translate, no? Halimbawa yung ginawa ko before na the acting area was scattered around, no? With the audience having different perspective kung ano yung nakikita nila sa palabas, no? So, it's a challenge for them. At the same time, the relationship of the character to the space tend to become a circular world, no? Kasi para bang the blocking itself, the movement na ginagawa nila, they're bound to return to where they started, no? Bumabalik sila at bumabalik sa kung saan sila nagsisimula. That's my main idea kung paano ko inayos yung blocking in action ng mga actors ko dun sa espasyo na ginagamit namin. Because technically, the concept of the play, I'm looking it as a limbo. No? Nasa loob sila ng limbo. So, di ba pag nasa limbo ka, paulit-ulit ka naman yung mga bagay-bagay. No? So, mahalaga siya for me as a director na yung relationship ng space ay nandoon, related doon sa ginagawa nila, no? And sa kwento. And of course, when we talk about the space, we are also dealing with the blocking. No? Yan yung unang-una nating naiisip kagad. Oh, ito na yung spasyo. Gawin natin to. Magbablock ako dito. No? As a director, yan nga unang-una natin ginagawa, di ba? O ikaw magbablock ka kasi ikaw yung director. Obviously, correct. Yes, gagawin mo talaga yan. No? Dealing with the blocking is the most basic job of the director. But remember that blocking should be logical, believable, and interesting. No? But most importantly, it always has a reason. No? Kailangan reasonable siya. Hindi mo uutusan na tumayo ang isang taong yan or hindi mo utusan na tumayo ang karakter mo na without reason, no? Na hindi naman pala, wala naman pala siyang pupuntahan, bakit pa siya pinapunta dyan, bakit pa siya naglakad-lakad dyan, no? Of course, it's the actor's job to find their gestures, no? To find the reasons for their movements, no? But at the same time, you still control it, no? As a director, kailangan alam mo kung paano mo siya, kung bakit mo siya pinapagalaw at bakit mo siya pinapatayo at bakit mo siya pinapahinto. No? Bakit hindi lang siya forever? No? So, it's reasonable at the same time logical. No? Remember that everything you put on stage, ito lagi ko ito sinasabi sa mga estudyante ko rin, that everything you put on stage has to have a significance. Kasi it becomes a loaded gun. Parel. Ano ibig ko sabihin sa loaded gun? Kumbaga ba, it becomes a loaded gun na inaantay namin siyang pumutok. Na inaantay namin siya na may mangyari sa kanya. No? Doon sa props or kung saan man na ibinigyan man ng emphasis. No? Halimbawa, ako, personally, as an audience, kapag pumunta ako sa loob ng entablado, something caught my attention, tinitignan ko at inaantay ko, ano kayang paggagamitan ng bagay na ito? No? Saan kaya ito lalabas? Ano kayang mangyayari dito? So, ganon. Even the actors itself, pag pumunta siya, halimbawa, pumunta siya na entablado, tapos nakita niya yung libro, binuksan niya, binasa niya ng kaunti, and then nilagay niya sa bag niya. Now, nakita namin yun as an audience. Titingnan ngayon, naantayin ko, saan gagamitin yung librong yun? May significance kaya yun sa kwento sa kanya. And turns out na yung librong yun pala ang dahilan kung bakit nagkagulo yung mga tao kasi hinahanap nila. Diary pala yun nila Mara Clara. Yung mga ganun bagay. Diba? Diary pala siya nila Mara Clara at nagkagulo yung buong mundo dahil nawawala yun. Yung pala na itago ng babaeng yun out of the blue. Diba? So, justified. No? Justified yung mga actions on stage. Hindi lang yung actions, rather, everything that you put, the props, the set, and all. No? Personally speaking, binanggit ko nga kanina ni Alex, doon sa profile ko, I always situate my performances on found spaces. No? Hindi ako madalas nagpapatali sa convention na kailangan nasa loob ka na isang tanghalan to create a performance. I always take on the challenge to find creative ways to work around a space that is not always limited, but certainly not intended for a specific action. No? Believer kasi ako ng basic elements ng theater na as long as there's space, actor, and audience, theater can happen. Ganon. At the same time, more on community-based din naman ang aking training. No? I would like to situate the idea, no? Kumbaga ba, the story, the whole production on the specific found spaces and involve yung mga tao na naroon sa lugar na yon, no? So, bukod sa pagnanais na to create that space na para bang to make it appear like that certain space was created for this specific performance. Gusto ko rin na makakuha ng relationship dun sa mga tao na gumagamit ng espasyo na yon, no? At kung paano nila ngayon nire-relate yung sarili nila dun sa performance. Halimbawa itong ginawa namin na Daluyong, no? It was just a simple found space kung saan, it talks about Yolanda kasi. No? The survivors of Yolanda. And then, the story resonates to the people around it, to the community itself, because they experience it firsthand. No? So, nag-enjoy ako sa mga ganyan na hindi mo kailangan ng actual structure to define or to create a certain world. No? Sometimes, nandun na siya. Kailangan mo na lang i-fill in. Kailangan mo na lang bigyang buhay yung mga bagay-bagay. To create or to para if you want your story to be heard. No? So yeah. So yan ang mahalagang aspeto sa akin as a director when I relate myself or my productions to the space. No? And last to my talking points, diba? We had the overall job of the director, the relationship of the director to the text, the relationship of the director to the space. Now, last, we'll talk about the relationship of the director to its actors. No? There's this relationship between actors and the directors I called the viewer and the viewed. No? The actor becomes the subject and being gazed upon, correct? And while the director, the one na nag-examine, no? Ang aktor, they can only give and rely, or they can only give and rely its beauty on the one who's watching. No? Ipinagkakatiwala nila sa iyo ipinagkakatiwala nila sa iyo as a director ang kanilang kagandahan, ang kanilang effectiveness as an actor. Kasi hindi naman sila nakatingin sa salamin at hindi nila nakikita ang kanilang sarili. No, that's the irony. No, yet you as the director, you have the power to tell whether the work is being done or it is enough, what you see is enough, print it, okay na yan. Or kulang pa. No, therefore, the actor trusts you to have an eye, no, for what is beautiful and for what is best. Sina-challenge ka nila. Pinagkakatiwalaan ka ng mga aktor na meron ka magandang taste, no? And you are intelligent enough and you know what you want as a director. Now, actors surrenders themselves, no, to you kasi naniniwala sila na you know how to tell a story, no? Now, if you know your story very well, you'll know what to ask to your actors, diba? Kung naiintindihan mo na, balik tayo doon sa text, no? Kung naiintindihan mo ng husto kung ano yung punto nung dula mo, alam mo kung anong ihingi mo sa aktor, alam mo kung ano yung gusto mo, mapapadali ang proseso, no? Hindi mo ko-confuse ang aktor mo sa, ano bang ibig niya sabihin? Kulang pa ba itong binibigay ko? Hindi ko nga naiintindihan. Diba? So, as a director, your job is to help the actors arrive on the same path that you want her to take. No? It's the actor's job, yes, to give a performance. No? It's the actor's job to unitize their script, to break down her characters, no, or the script, and understand and build her own characters. It's her job to deliver a performance and give something to you. Yes, that's correct. But as a director, you are there to make sure that she's on the right track and she's in line with what you see. No? That's why instead of giving your actors directions or asking them to act out, no, some specific action na, umiyak ka, tumawa ka, instead of giving, asking them those requests, why not give them questions and objectives that will propel actions? No? Linawin mo kung ano yung objective na hinihingi mo for your actors. Because these are, ano ba tawag ito? These are playable objectives, no? Mas madali, these will deliver or propel actions, and actions triggers our emotions, no? So if you ask them to use or to do certain action that will propel their emotions, magiging truthful ang delivery ang maibibigay ng actor mo, no? That's why it's important for you to use verb, no? So sa pag-aaral ng acting, no, mahalaga rin 'yan to understand how you're gonna use your verbs as an actor, no, in relation to your objectives and intentions, no? When giving directions, use verb because again, verbs are action words that are playable. Madali siyang maunawaan at maisabuhay ng artista, no? And instead of asking them na sa mga result-based direction, na madalas kapag result-based kasi yung direction na hinihingi mo, hindi siya nagiging makatotohanan. At the same time, lalo lang gumugulo sa utak ng aktor kung ano yung hinihingi mo kasi ang pumapasok sa isip nila ay kailangan nilang ma-fulfill kung ano mismo yung specific word na hiningi mo, no? Ma-fulfill yung specific emotion na hinihingi mo. So, mahalaga that you give them, ask them, direct them using verb, no? Because in reality, you cannot force them to arrive to a situation, di ba, in real life, you cannot force them to arrive into a situation that they don't feel. Correct? Di ba? Hindi mo naman mapipilit na umiyak ang isang bagay, ang isang tao, kung hindi niya naman talaga nararamdaman ang pag-iyak. No? And if your actors are smart enough, intelligent enough, and responsible enough to divide the scripts with bits and units, mapapadali ang trabaho mo as a directors. No? And sometimes ako as a director, balik ulit dun sa sabi kong visual metaphor, no? Visual diaries ko, no? Ginagamit ko rin siya minsan, hindi literal na may images akong pinapakita, no? Ginagamit ko rin siya at the same time to help the actors visualize kung ano yung nangyayari or gusto kong makaramdaman sana or gusto ko sa eksena, no? Halimbawa, sinasabi ko sa kanya na, naranasan mo na ba na sumakay sa MRT ng siksikan na trash hour? Diba? Ganoon. Tapos marirealize niya, makukuha niya yung images na yon. Rush hour, MRT, and all, siksikan. Then, yeah. Yun. Magbabago yun. Magbabago yung reason or yung approach ng actor mo. Mararamdaman niya kasi, magiging buhay sa kanya yung images na yon. Therefore, when we talk about images kasi, hindi lang to literal, it's anything related to the senses. No? Therefore, marirealize niya, maalala niya yung init, pagod, baho, amoy, no? On that specific situation, that specific given circumstances, no? So, mahalaga rin siya for me. So, that's the general idea on how you relate to your actors as a director. No? Question? None. So, I would like to say na my situation sometimes differ because aside from being a director, I am also a teacher. No? Hindi lang kasi ako nagli-lead or nagko-command sa mga tao. At the same time kasi nagtuturo ako sa mga estudyante ko on how a production should work. At the same time, isinisingit na natin the responsibilities, at the same time, ways for acting. No? So, nagbabago siya. And for me, it's one of the most important aspects na nakukuha ko as a director. Because aside from being the head of the overall, or the head of this group, I was able to impart knowledge and create experiences with everyone. No? And as both a director and a teacher, I just need to make sure that I am creating a safe space for everyone to hone his or her crafts. No? So, panghuli, na paalala, no? As a director, you need to weigh your opinion and the choices that are being presented on your plate. Kasi sa proseso ng pagbuo as a director, asahan mo na marami kang choices bigla. Ma-overwhelm ka sa mga bagay na gusto mong gawin. Oh my God, gusto ko ba itong gawin? Gusto ko ba to? Gusto ko ba itong piliin? The kulay na to, itong action na to, and all. Ano kaya maganda? Mahalaga na kaya mong sukatin, timbangin itong mga bagay-bagay nito and choose what's best for you, for your production. Remember, there are no wrong choices naman. There are no wrong choices. There are always better ones and appropriate ones. No? So, don't be afraid of change. No? This one pala yung nasa picture ay daluyong. No? Isang pahinumdom. Yan, for example, the kawayan is not just become a kawayan that serves the go, but rather becomes a sense of danger for the role of, pangalan nitong karakter na to. Yeah, yung tatay and all, na the kawayan becomes the kulungan at the same time the barrel that will, you know, something. And this one, yeah, Manila traffic. No? Anyway, don't be afraid of change. Rehearsal is an important process. Okay? Change is inevitable. Change can mean progress. No? Minsan kasi tayo, we have this very specific idea na gusto natin mangyari. But sometimes, hindi siya nag-work. Maganda siya sa utak mo, pero hindi siya nag-work on stage. Don't be afraid to change and tweak and find the ways para mag-relate siya to the overall vision mo. No? It means progress. And rehearsal is an important process to develop your ideas then and find solution to your problems. Let your thoughts flow and be sensitive. React. Because sometimes magic happens from the unexpected. No? And again, I can only speak from my own experiences and what I've learned in the university and in the real world. Remember that each director has its own ways on dealing a certain production. So the best thing to do is plunge and trust yourself and take on the challenge. No? Okay, so that's all, everyone. And thank you for listening to my webinar, to my workshop. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chris. For everyone, we can still entertain at least 3 questions. So if you have any questions, you can use the chat box or just turn on your video and then directly ask Chris. Okay, Rain, what's your question?
Ayan, hello.
Hi.
Hello. My question is because naka-work na din po kita, like Manila traffic. I just want to know how did you apply all of those ideas or those, let's say you're taking you're taking a master's degree in theater arts, and how did you process those thoughts, and how did you apply those theories you've learned para makatulong siya to make the play, you know, on point and relevant sa audience. I mean, just tips din kasi I also direct.
Okay, thank you for that, Rain. No? Well, mahalaga yung mga napag-aralang theory, no, sa MA when you create a certain production, because certainly it helps you to find your position as a director, no? Kung saan mo gustong, sabi ko nga, kung saan lente mo gustong tignan at i-position yung sarili mo, no? At the same time, you can theorize the script itself, no? You can theorize, no? You can contextualize rather, and use your medium, no? Your theater space para sa mga theories ito. But theory shouldn't be, paano ba to? The practices should become the theory itself, no? Obviously, sabi ko nga kanina, as a director, you're trying to communicate using metaphorical expression. If you have a background to, let's say, semiotics and all, it'll be easier for you to create these systems of science. Hindi man easier, pero at least you have anak on creating a systems of science, no? Para ma-develop mo siya doon sa mismo mundo mo, sa entablado na gagalawan mo. So yun, mahalaga siya at malaking tulong siya for me. It's a learning process for me as a director and as a student of the university.
Thank you.
Okay. We can still entertain 2 more questions. So anyone? Cly Mendoza. Okay, go.
Good afternoon po.
Ayun po.
Kasi po, 2 years pa lang po sa theater, just finished my grade 12 strand for arts and design. Isang beses pa lang po ako nakapag-direct ng isang musical play, adaptation po siya. Tapos, if I were kung estudyante niyo po ako, ano po yung magiging quote of the day para mas mabuhay at parang mas magamit or mas ma-utilize yung theater as a medium for education para sa youth?
Quote of the day talaga. Lagi kong sinasabi that theater is an agent for change. No? Because theater is, of course, the characteristic of theater as being immediate and urgent. No? So the situation, for example, the situation asks for an immediate action. Ang theater, live, nakukuha kagad yan ng audience mo. Diba? Therefore, you can actually create a bridge between you as an artist and the community. Agad. Para ma-translate mo kagad yung emotion, yung message na gusto mong sabihin. No? You can propel them to move, to act. Because again, sasabi ko nga, theater is an effective way. No? It's an agent for change. So yeah, I hope that's quotable enough. Thank you, Clyde.
Okay, last question from Clark Piolo Calleja.
Good afternoon po. Paano niyo po na-handle yung emotions or yung urge niyo para mag-perform ngayong pandemic? Kasi po na sobrang kating-katin ako umarte, kumanta, mag-musical. Pero ngayon parang wala pa rin ganap ngayon. Kasi performing arts student po ako ngayong senior high school din. Parang walang nangyayari. Parang tama ba itong pinasok ko? Parang wala naman nangyayari. Parang ganun.
Ng university.
Lucrecia Arcasilag, Performing Arts School po sa may QC, sa may Project 7.
Oo nga, no? Talagang medyo nakakangati ngayon kasi nga everything is virtual, no? But I think it's important na just find your way, find an outlet for that creative urge, whatever medium that you would like to do. No? Meron tayong TikTok, meron tayong Instagram, meron tayong mga Facebook Live and all. If you have an idea and you want something or gusto mo itong ilabas, don't let the actual conventions of theater, no? Na dahil wala siya ngayon, mahinder yung mga yan. Always find a way to release that. Lalo na sa panahon ngayon, sabi mo, kine-question mo, tama ba itong pinasok ko? Mahalaga siguro na kine-question natin our purpose, not just as student, rather as a person, no? As soon to become an artist, no? Ano yung purpose natin? Ba't natin ginagawa itong sining na to? Do we want to create an effect to the community? Or can I use my voice? No? Sabi ni, sino ba to? To amplify the voices of the masses. No? So, hone your crafts while being safe. No? Marami na tayo ngayon, ito kasi ang kagandahan ng teatro, no? Buhay siya, therefore nag-evolve. Hindi lang live performances ang maituturing nating teatro. Even Zoom performances, even live Instagram and Facebook lives can be considered for theater, 'di ba? So it's your opportunity today, no? Now to explore those possibilities. So,
Thank you po.
Okay. So before we end this webinar, I would like to invite you to the next webinar at 3:30 p.m. So I'm sending the link here on the group chat. And also, can I just ask everyone to turn on the video so I can take a photo of us and we will upload it on our Facebook page. Yay. And another thing, I'm going to upload this whole webinar on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, Erehwon Center for the Arts, the People's Arts Center, and then watch our videos. You can also watch the previous webinar, which is playwriting. So if you missed it, you can catch it up on YouTube. Okay, so smile everyone. 1, 2, 3. Okay, wait, one more. 1, 2, 3. Isa pa. The next window. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Again, thank you so much for attending, and I hope we still see you in the script writing webinar, the community theater webinar next week, and the visual arts webinar 2 weeks from now. You can find the forms on our Facebook page, so please like our page, Erehwon Center for the Arts, and please also follow us on Instagram, same username, and please subscribe on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Ano, happy ka ba?
ikaw, ay naka-record ka pa.